Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. And I thank all of you for this is episode number 100. and with that, my guest this week was actually my very first guest I've ever had. So I figured episode number 1 ought to be episode number 100. But I said this before when I introduced him on episode number 1. This guy is from the ECW tree. Yes, this is one of the original Dudleys. He goes all the way back to also with tons of other independents like TWA, which we'll be getting in shortly. But I would say one of the original. When Paulie took over, one of the original ECW guys. As I said, the Dudley Tree and beyond. And with that, Chubby Dudley Ragney, welcome back to the show for episode number 100.
Congrats, my brother. Dude, that's crazy. Like 100, and it seems like it was just like
I know
a few weeks ago. It seems like it's funny. Like we were just downtown Nashville the other day, and every time like I go walking around there, I'm like, that's where we took Lauren.
Yeah. That's why I chimed in on that post you made. I was like, is that maybe there's another one, but no, that was it. I just remember what was the name of the place? It was the Marriott?
JW Marriott, yeah.
I just remember we went up there and it's like you and I, girl, we weren't dressed for that occasion. Like everybody was like really dressed up, and I'm looking at this steak and I'm like looking like, oh, is that $57? Yeah, I won't be having that.
57. It's more like 156. Dude, it's funny because you get up to the 34th floor and you have to walk through this fucking steakhouse that overlooks Nashville. And like I just beeline through the steakhouse to get to the bar. And yeah, it just like you said, like people that know me know I am not a exuberant dresser. Yeah. I'm like a t-shirt and shorts guy. Like 365. So I just come crashing through, and I'm just like bar.
Yeah, and it was definitely warm, but I came through on one of my cross countries the trip. So
yes,
I hit you up and I met you. So I'm not dressed for the occasion either. Like it's summer. I'm a t-shirt and shorts, cargo pants. It's like, hey, look at your suit over there.
and dude, that right? I mean, people have like I read like reviews and shit for all these like foodie groups and stuff I'm in. I mean, like the average bill to eat there is $500 for 2 people.
Oh, that's no problem for people like us.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, madness. Yeah, brother. So, welcome back. And I know recently you just had like this reunion show in Philadelphia, TWA. And I know that company meant a lot to you. I remember the last time we were talking, you really, I was like, I know you're really happy about being part of the ECW tree in Dudleyville and everything, but I know you were really, like that interview, you were really hard set on how much that company meant to you. So I know the event happened. I know I was there. That was May 3rd, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I was there beforehand for the meet and greet with the convention with a lot of the boys. But fortunately, before you booked that, I bought tickets to see The Damned at Union Transfer. So it was the first lineup of that back since like 1989. So. Yeah, but
why didn't you take me with you?
yeah. But I heard the show went well. I also heard it kind of went off the rails a little bit. So, I don't know where do you want to go with it?
I mean, look, it was a show a year in the making. It was an absolute. It was like a dream come true. It was an honor. Joel Goodhart and the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance have been so vitally important to me in both my regular life and wrestling career. So when this whole thing started coming together and Joel approached me and asked me to be the booker for the show and help him put everything together, I was just absolutely... It was truly one of the biggest honors of my whole wrestling career. And we worked on it very closely for a year. But there was, in the last few months, things started going off the rails a little bit leading up to it. And, I knew there was going to be some issues and problems. And day of, naturally, there was issues and problems that I foresaw. And there was issues and problems afterwards. And I think, as far as I know, all those things were settled. But, my whole sticking point, and I was on a podcast last night, and I kind of called out Joel Goodhart because I'm a little pissed because, here's my feelings. Like, I literally for a year devoted more than 40 plus hours a week to putting this thing together. I put my entertainment podcast on the back burner. I put my wrestling podcast, for the most part, on the back burner. I became a booker, assistant to the promoter, PR agent, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever you want to call it, to a locker room of people, a referee amidst fighting amongst people. And it put a strain on my personal relationship. It put a strain on me. And at the end of the day, when all was said and done and the show was over, it's at literally 3 weeks from today, the show happened. And I've yet to hear from Joel Goodhart. I've yet to get a thank you, a fuck you, or anything. So it's kind of left me very, very pissed off and salty. Yeah.
So, all right. So, again, I'm doing an interview here. I know a little bit, but I have to act like I don't know a lot either with this. So, Joel he's the owner of the company, right?
Yes, he was the owner of TWA.
Okay, so that was his thing. So, but he trusted you in doing everything you just said, right? So you had full clearance and all that.
Correct.
So, I mean, is he upset that? What did he give you any hints of like, yo, I'm not liking what you're doing, like and leading up to the show, or did this all hit that day? I'm just
okay. Now this is my thoughts because the last few months I was constantly being belittled and hollered at and screamed at over a lot of stupid stuff. And it was coming more and more evident because for the most part, everybody was coming to me with questions. And a lot of the stuff I was like, well, you got to go to Joel, go to Joel, go to Joel. And Joel was not just answering people for some reason, but people kept coming back to me. Well, he did not like the fact that people were coming to me, is my feeling. Because especially the last couple days, as I'm there, he was hollering and screaming at me at the arena. You're not the promoter. You're just a booker. And I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about because I didn't do nothing. I didn't say nothing. Mm-hmm. So it became a very...
Was this at the meet and greet beforehand where this was coming?
This was literally the day before we were at the arena. And we had a meeting with Ric Flair's people. Mm-hmm. And again, shit went off the rails. And I'm just like, what? Like I did. It became such a toxic thing. So I literally don't know. I have not spoken to him. I know people he has only spoken to a couple people. And I know they know more than what they're telling me. And, they're like, oh, he'll eventually call you. But like I said last night on, I did Carmela's Wrestling Radio show, and she's Joel's original partner. I'm at the point where I don't even want to hear anything now. I'm, you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of past the point of no return. Like I just feel first off, I wasn't raised that fucking way. Yeah. And I wasn't trained that way in the business, and I was trained by Joel's people. So it kind of like has really pissed me off. It's kind of angered me, and in my head, like I keep playing this shit over and over, and I feel like I was like a girl who got used by a guy and dumped. You know, that's kind of like the way I feel. And I feel like I got used for literally a year because I helped with a lot of the connections. I helped put a lot of the pieces in place. I helped also, which is a maddening thing, I put a lot of financial deals in place to help him make back chunks of his money here and there, and he didn't follow through on any of them, or he shot them down. And he lost a substantial amount of money that day because it was a big nut. And it was a very scary thing, I know, for him, because we talked about it many times, because there was a lot of money on the line. It was a very scary thing for me because it was the biggest thing I was ever, kind of put in charge of. And to have a 6-figure nut hanging over my head for one show was a very stressful thing. And there was many sleepless nights, and many times in the middle of the night, like I just couldn't sleep, and I pull my phone out and I go on my phone and I see Joel's wide awake too, and he couldn't sleep. So, we went through a lot in this last year together, and the fact that the final words said was pretty much "fuck you" to me. We got into a fight as he was leaving the arena because of situations financially with a couple people that he did not understand. I still think to this day he doesn't understand what he did. And I was trying to straighten it out. I'm being told, "Go fuck yourself." Mm-hmm. So it's kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
Okay, so I got a couple things here. So you're in charge, but it's his company. Is it what was he doing for his own show?
Okay, so
leading up, like outside of what work you were doing,
the split was, he was supposed to be in charge of the convention, and I was in charge of the show at night. But for the convention, a lot of things. I had brought a friend of mine in to help organize the convention, and he had brought in a fellow promoter for the ECWA, Ryan Cavanaugh, who's also doing a documentary on Joel and the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. He brought him in as videographer, documentary guy, social media guy. So to help kind of wrangle things and put things in place, I brought a friend of mine in to help with the convention. And me, Ryan, and Frank had lined up and put a shit ton of stuff in order in January to really streamline things and financially help him kind of make his money back. And he just blew everything out of the water. He didn't want to listen to us about anything. And he put his own plans in place, which day of the show kind of imploded and caused a lot of problems with talent, with fans. Like it was kind of a chaotic mess.
So to jump in here for a minute, is it almost is somewhat of a communication problem between you and him, of like you're promising these guys this and Joel's promising these guys that, and then the day of, like, that's not what this person's supposed to get, or that's not the deal I put in place?
You know what? That was part of the problem that we kind of suspected, myself, Ryan, and my buddy Frank, because we had asked him to sit down and put together. There was a spreadsheet made for him and said, "Hey, go through your list of talent that you have booked that you're responsible for. Let us know the financial deal of what you're paying them and what you get in return. And this way, we're going to sit down and figure out, what we need to sell, autograph-wise, photo-wise, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to help you make your money back. Because this is a lot of fucking money this guy put on the line." And
we figures that's
yeah.
I don't even know how you get that back to a wrestling event these days.
Exactly.
Honestly,
Exactly.
like even if it's sold out, I mean that's a good thing.
Even if it was even if the show at night was sold out, like that, it was like I think it was going to cover like maybe the show end, but the convention end was a whole nother fucking issue. So we were trying to, offset all these costs, and I had vendors and dealers come to me wanting to make some deals. We put some in place. I just found out a week ago, one of the deals that was put in place for 100 autographs of somebody never came to fruition. So that was a big hunk of money lost. I had other deals set up with dealers and vendors that wanted to make similar deals, and he shot them all down. So I just, he did not, and it became clear to me as time was going on, and even as I was in the car picking up a person from the airport, and they told me their deal, and I knew what everybody was paying, but they told me the breakdown of the deal, and it's not what he told me. So I really feel like he made all these deals with people, but didn't truly understand the deals he made because he's never done a convention before. And he was very confused on the way the convention scene works. And he was still thinking it's 1991, the last time he promoted a show. So there was a 35-year gap, and he kept saying, I'm old school, I'm old school, I'm old school. And there was just a big communication breakdown with himself as well as with everybody around him.
Did you and him, and I know you named a couple other people whose names escaping me, did you guys have like a Zoom chat at all? Or
Yeah.
You guys broke down like here's who's getting what and still went
I knew, like, every time he booked somebody, he told me, X amount was getting. But he was not, like, when you book somebody to do a convention, all right, Lauren, I'm bringing you in for this convention. I'm going to pay you $1,000. You're going to sit at the convention all day. For that $1,000, is that just for you to show up, or is that $1,000 now where I'm supplying pictures and you're going to do that for X amount of hours, and all that money that's brought in, is that all my money?
Yes.
Are we splitting the money? There's certain ways it works, and it's different with each person.
Yes, it is.
Well, he was not, when he set up his deals, he did not structure them correctly, and he didn't realize what he structured, nor did he keep track of what he structured.
Yeah, so it's actually me coming from being a film and heavily tied to the horror movie conventions. Like,
absolutely,
a lot of them is like there's someone there representing the convention. They count exactly all that they supplying the pictures and all that, and half goes to the house because they're trying to make sure you got your guarantee.
Exactly.
So then they're off the hook, and everything you get after that is 100% yours. Versus you bringing your own stuff. Like, I prefer to bring my own stuff because I'm such an indie guy. Like you, hey,
yeah.
For this price, you can have all my DVDs and Blu-rays and signed poster, and then I'm so an indie guy. I could this ain't working. Add more stuff in, change the rate. So I totally get you. And
well, here was another problem.
I've also seen. I bet this happened with you don't need to name it, but happened at yours is they think they're getting that guarantee, so they're not even like, well, I got my guarantee. I'm just going to sit like this, like unless somebody comes to the table.
Well, here was a problem. It turned out some of them, yes, they got their guarantee and that was it. And some of them, it was supposed to be they got their money, plus it was supposed to be a split deal. Now, Joel was supposed to supply the pictures out of 50 stars that were there. He was supposed to supply the pictures for 35 to 40 of them.
That's a big cost, man. That is a bad cost. I mean, especially if you're getting good ones. Like, you don't want the cheap ones. You don't want some kid to pay it falls apart going home in his car.
Exactly. So he said to me, reach out to this photographer that was also going to be present that day shooting pictures. Give him the list of people we need and have him send you pictures. He did that. He sent me 800 fucking pictures to go through. I went through all the pictures. I got it down to 65. I make a deal with the guy. He gives me the rate of, it was for 65 pictures. He charged me $15 a picture. You now have the rights to print these pictures. So it was $900.
Mm-hmm.
Not a problem. Joel pays it. A week later, I go to sit down with Joel on a Sunday afternoon to go through picture by picture to see how many copies of each one we're going to print. He shot down all 65 pictures and printed 0 pictures. So now everybody there had no pictures.
Another issue with I know it's just like freaking hard because it's the same thing I said. My the horror convention is like, whose pictures are they? Like, because the person that took the pictures has the right to those pictures too.
Exactly.
They're like there's a big downfall of going. It's the same thing when you see. I'm sure it happens in the wrestling conventions too, but in the horror conventions, you see people making T-shirts of Freddy and Jason. It's like, you do not have the licensing for this.
Exactly.
So like there's a lot of the higher end conventions. Like, we come to the door, when you see your license, you have a sign off on Lionsgate, you have a sign off on Paramount that says you could carry that, because if not, that can't come in.
Right.
So you're liable, but and there's a lot. So I can see what these start. It's all startup costs with all that too, and that adds so much.
That would have been another. I mean, to get all those pictures printed would have been another easy $1,000, probably $2,000.
Yeah.
But now you have 35 wrestling stars sitting there with nothing to sign. So how are you supposed to make your money back?
Yeah, it sounds like you have to pay, but they were too long and they're hung out to dry.
And they were all pissed off because there was nothing for them to sign. Some of them had brought some of their own stuff. So now they're using their own stuff that they're giving away for free that they weren't supposed to.
Yep.
Or some didn't have anything at all. Like Sabu had nothing. He was furious.
Man, yeah, that's it's all something. It's all something. And then even sometimes to stick up for the any convention, I've seen people like, hey, they got their guarantee. Well, they're not at their table. They're walking around shopping and stopping and taking pictures and giving it all up for free because like they don't care because the convention's good. But at the same time, it's like, yo, you can't be just doing that. Like, you have to be at the table. The convention's got to win too. Yeah. So
it's a bit. Yeah, I mean, people don't realize. I mean, this is the first convention I was in on trying to put together, and it was fucking. It was so stressful. The convention end of it compared to the wrestling show.
Hey, I wish you told I wish you told me because of how much I'm around it. I could have probably have helped or give some bull like, hey, what are you trying to do here? Like, all right, could you make sure these 3 things are done? Because if not, the dam's gonna break. The
dam broke. That and that's even like you said, when you have all these we had 50 tables. And we have 2 to 3 people per table, and you need to have somebody at each table keeping financial track of what's going on. So for a year, people were coming to me. I want to help. Joel said, send them to me. I'll organize it. Okay. So I gave him every person's contact. About 2 weeks before the convention, I was driving home from work. I gave him a call and he said, I'm getting ready to do a Zoom with everybody that's helping. I said, all right. I said, do you need me to do it? Do you need help? He's like, yeah, hop on with me. So I do. And there was 8 people on this Zoom call. 8. We have 50 tables plus, we needed people at the front door, security, etc. Yeah. We get off the Zoom call and we have our private call and he's like, we need people. This is going to be a fucking mess.
Yes, it is.
I was like, this is bad. This is fucking bad. So the next morning, I go on Facebook and I put a thing on Facebook. Hey, if anybody wants to help out at WrestleCon, please let me know.
Yeah.
I was getting bombarded with people, and you'll know this. Most people that are reaching out, they just want to get it for free.
Yes.
They're fans of wrestling, horror, whatever.
And they're probably going to talk the wrestler's ear off, and the wrestler's going to come to the table before
Exactly.
You got to get people that were at conventions, like it's that aren't starstruck and got
yes.
Yes.
Well, I was having people reach out to me that were like friends from school. They were not like real wrestling fans. They were just friends of mine who wanted to help me out. Mm-hmm. So an hour later, I get a text message from Joel. Are you fucking stupid? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Why would you put that on Facebook? I said, because we need help. You said last night.
Does he have a better alternative to find help? Then he can say that to you.
He said we got into a big argument, and he said anybody that answers your ad to help, I'm not using. I said, okay. We didn't talk after that for about 5 days, and at that point, I was not coming. I was done. I was like, you know what? Like, this is just ridiculous now. Like, I'm dealing with a child. So I mean, the last few weeks leading up to it was a horror show. It really was a very bad experience. And this was a guy who literally was like an idol to me. Like I looked up to. He was a major influence, a mentor, a father figure. I said to him for 30 years, I looked up to him like a father. And many times in this last year, I would call him up and I'm like, Joel, I need to talk to you. I have this situation going on with my daughters. I have this situation going on with my fiance. I got this situation going on financially. How do I get myself out of this? And he would sit and talk to me like a father. Like I never had that. My father died when I was 4. I truly loved this guy and looked up to this guy. And I feel like I just got really fucking shit on, man. And I feel like a bitch crying about it now. I do, and I feel like I shouldn't be talking about it, but I'm trying to understand myself what the fuck happened and what went on.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an unfortunate situation that happened. Again, if you were this was like a hero of yours and you're helping, I know it's like getting close to someone who you were just idolizing, and it's just something between how you guys ran it, your communication, or just he's the main guy, and once he overrides everything. Yeah. So when that convention ended, and then it's the same place where the wrestling show was also for people who don't understand. But is it over? Is it over before the show even started? Like between everybody getting upset?
No, you know what? At that point, I literally was like, we got everybody cleared out. I was like, game time. Let's fucking go. And I was like, now it's my time to shine, and I'm on. And I fucking got a table set up back in the dressing room, and I pulled everybody over match by match and fucking talked to them and went over stuff with them. And then by the time all that was done, went back into the gorilla position back there and fucking showtime. Leading up to it, everything was going pretty smooth. Did the show come off as smooth as I wanted? Naturally not. Was the show as good as I was expecting? Naturally not. But the one thing that everybody keeps telling me and was saying to me even that night as the show was happening, they're like, just shut up in your own head and just listen. And the crowd was into it. The crowd loved the show. The crowd was popping. They were enjoying themselves. And the locker room enjoyed themselves. And it was about, that's what it was about. Like, as we were promoting this show for a year, I kept saying, I promoted it as, this is a show about nostalgia. Don't expect to come here and see, TWA, ECW style show in their primes from 30 years ago, because that's not what this is. This is a show about paying respect, paying tribute, and nostalgia. And that's what it was. And the main thing that we did was too, that we got accomplished was the way this whole thing started was, I started a thing about a banner to pay tribute to Joel, Johnny Hotbody, Tony Stetson, DC Drake, and the
I
late
signed
Barry
that for
Leonard.
you.
Yes, you did. Yes,
I
you
did.
did.
I think it was like 400 and something.
So we had to we got 1,000 signatures, and we got to raise the banner that night, and it was a great tribute to those guys, and now they'll be up there, and that was the biggest part of the show, and we pulled it off, and we got to do it. So
Gotcha. So right now you're just going through going over with the hangover and everything for a while here, huh? Hopefully
yeah, it's still like, I mean, afterwards I literally it's been so crazy. Like the next morning I had to be at the airport 5 a.m., flew back to Nashville, got off the plane 8:15 a.m., was in work by 8:30.
Yep.
And then it was our busiest week of the year. So I worked from the time I got off the plane 6 days straight, 70 plus hours. And then I came down sick. And then I was in bed for 6 days. And I still have a little bit of it lingering. So like the last 2 weeks between being sick and work, and like you said, this show hangover, like that I'm just still not clear or satisfied, or it's just
Yeah, well, like I said, I was at the convention part, but why was Ric Flair in like a tent?
Okay, so the situation with Flair was
my favorite wrestler of all time, but I have to call that out. Yeah,
he had to be kept separate. It's part of the contract, and also too, there was an issue between Ric Flair and somebody else that was on the show that we had to keep them separate, and they could not be any contact. If there was any contact, Ric Flair would leave. So,
wow. Okay, interesting.
And the money that was paid to Rick, Joel would lose. So, there was a tent built around him, and if he had to go use the bathroom, we had to make sure the bathroom was clear.
Geese. All right. Yeah. My man. He's still stuck. You had Flair there, so like automatically I know his thinking above everybody else that was on the show had to have been putting you guys in a hole just like that.
The show, we'll say, was X amount before Ric Flair, and when he made the decision to book Flair, which was 4 or 5 months into the process, the show total doubled.
Okay. Gotcha. Yes. So horrible where we're going right now because it still stings, but it was a small beauty of that show. As much as that tragically a week later Sabu dies, that he's got to go to the arena one more time. Yeah.
That's another thing. Like still like.
I have to say, I'll hand you the floor in a second. If we all remember, was it, I don't know, 10 years ago, the Ultimate Warrior makes up with the WWF and he gets to go do a Hall of Fame. And the next day he's on Raw raising. And then I think within 12 hours he passed. Yeah. Like the fact that Sabu got to go back to the arena where he's most beloved in America and all that. And then, but I remember, I don't remember who I was talking to on the phone. I was talking to somebody on the phone and text messages just exploded. Mm-hmm. And I remember still talking to my friend kind of in shock, and he didn't even know, like, you all right? Like, I kept the conversation, but I was blank when that happened. Like, I like not ready for that, clearly. Can I say I'm totally stunned with no, because of what he's done to his body. Physically and whatever he chose to do in his personal life, but so not ready for that. But I'm pretty sure that had to have hit home hard with you, especially you said you did 70 hours right after. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sick. Oh yeah, and Sabu's dead, you know?
Yeah, dude. I mean, like you said, it like, yes, there was a lot of bad that came out of the show, but there was a lot of good too. There was a lot of beautiful points. It was great seeing so many old friends that I haven't seen in many years, spending the day with so many of these people. One of them being Sabu. In my early run in ECW, when I was there as a Dudley, always got along great with Sabu, party with Sabu here and there, had fun, good times. And when I got to the hotel Friday evening, he was sitting outside, and I walked up to him to say hello. And I said, hey, I don't know if you remember me or not, but Chubby Dudley. And he looked at me and goes, get the fuck out of here. He's like, Chubby Dudley? He goes, can't be. I'm like, yeah. He's like, what are you doing here? So I'm talking to him, telling him. And then I said, I'll tell you this story, and you'll instantly know it's me. And I fucking told him, and he busted up laughing. He was like, get the fuck out of here. It is you. He was like blown away. So then the next day at the con, long-time wrestling fan, ECW fan. It was front row every ECW show. Jonathan Owens in a wheelchair. Great fucking guy. I love that dude. I was talking to him, and he's like, you, and he points to Sabu. He's like, come on. And we go to the bar, and he starts buying us fucking double shots of tequila for like a half hour, and we're bullshitting.
Yeah.
And we just had a ball.
We'll get back to that when you're done. Yes.
We had a ball. We're laughing and talking and bullshitting. But then I was talking to Sabu about, because when we booked him, he worked for, he came in with his uncle, the Sheik, to work with Joel. He did a couple of shows, like battle royals and stuff. And even at that time, when I saw his entrance into battle royals, flipping through the ropes, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Sabu, the Elephant Boy. What the fuck? Mm-hmm. And then fast forward 3 years later, and he's starting to blow up. But so I said to him, I said, when we got hold of you to book you for this, we really wanted you to have your last match here. And he said, I talked to Joel. I said, yeah, but you gave him a crazy fucking figure to do it. He goes, I gave him the figure I wanted from WWE or AEW. He's like, if he would have talked to me and negotiated, I would have did it for a lot cheaper. He goes, do you think GCW paid me that? And he told me what they paid. And if we would have known that, he's like, I would. He goes, I would have preferred my last match to be here at the arena.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
Did you feel, when you were talking, was it just normal? Did you feel like
normal?
Nothing like, hey, buddy, you okay? And none of that? All right.
It was like 30 years had not passed and just having a good old time.
Yeah.
So a week later, at that point, I was sick in bed with a fever, like day 2 or 3. And I woke up from a nap, and like you, my phone had blown up, and I had like 24 texts. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So then right away I Google, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm like fucking stunned. I'm like, I can't believe it.
Yeah. And for, like I said, the reason I asked, because we don't really know his cause of death yet. So anybody who's watching this in this life, it's May 24th of the same month. So we don't know yet. So, but it was one of those hard things, because this is a guy that, to me, he overdid what he did. Like, it was for as amazing. I wish as he aged, he dialed it back. He did not need to do that, go that full cylinder like that. But I don't think he knew how to stop.
Yeah, he was definitely an all or nothing guy. How many times did the guy go out there, and break a bone and keep going? Like, he broke his fucking neck and kept going a couple of times, I think. Break legs, ankles.
Even I remember, we can always go, I was there, but the whole Born to Be Wired, like, even he's wrapping his arm while he's getting the neck breaker by Terry Funk. Doesn't stop, like, because he has to, because he could die, but he's still wrestling and aiding his arm. The guy was so, I hate it, because I'm not the first person saying this everywhere. He was so underpaid for what he did and accomplished. He should have been one of the most top paid wrestlers in the world. And when you say like the 3 major companies, like, you always thought of Hogan for for McMahon. You always thought of Sting in the other end. And I could say for ECW, I always said it was Tommy Dreamer was the lovable Hulk Hogan guy because he was the company. Yeah. But reality, it's Sabu. He was always the first guy you thought of.
Yeah.
Or very damn close. When you said ECW, he was the difference maker. He was the unique guy. And I'm seeing all these tributes to him, and I it was bothering me. These video footage was just table. I'm like, that guy could wrestle, man. Show some of the things, especially with him and he would team up with RVD.
Yeah.
One of the best tag team matches I ever saw at the arena was them two versus Balls and Axel. Not in a feud. It was just Balls that came up one night, like, you two. It was one of the best matches I ever saw. Them versus the Eliminators. Like, Sabu was such an underrated wrestler, and he could wrestle his butt off. And I hate that they didn't show that. It was just like, it's the table guy. So if I didn't know who Sabu was and he passed away and then they showed, oh, he's just a table guy. He just does put people through tables. I thought that was a little shallow from some of the video tributes I've seen out of these companies.
Yeah, I mean, it's now that you say that, it's every video I've seen has been that. It's been tables and barbed wire, tables and barbed wire, tables and barbed wire. And yeah.
Yeah, and I will always say the first time I saw Sabu wrestle in Scranton, Pennsylvania, in early '96 or something, but when he hit the ring and like pulled that off, I was in awe of his body because I'm like, that can't be. And like, dude, that freaking real as it gets. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it never got old. Just looking at that body of his, how scarred up it was. It was ridiculous, and the fact that he is a legend. The fact that like somebody like Hogan and Flair have been done for a long time, I will go back to the top, and they got their forever tours, meaning wherever they go, they're golden. Everybody gets on their feet like it's them. They get the sign that they could rest their body. They could live off conventions, and Sabu was doing that, but he didn't truly stop wrestling, so he's not going to be able to experience that of like. And I hate that.
And you know. I mean, the guy was 60 years old. Like, in today's standards, I mean, that's fucking young. That's still young.
It is. And, I mean, there's people that are attacking that other company and stuff, saying, like, oh, they should be charged with manslaughter.
No.
He knew what he was doing.
Exactly.
Like, he didn't have to do the man. But I have to admit, watching that, like, the way he was walking the ring, I'm like, dude, you don't have to do it. Yeah. He really didn't have to do it, and that we all know that one spot where like he flew through the second rope. I'm like, oh, dude, you don't need to be doing this.
I mean, honestly, I'll say, me personally, you know, when I saw he was having his last match, I was happy for him. But then when I saw what it was, I was kind of bummed because I didn't feel or think he needed to go out that way. Or maybe he wanted to because maybe in his eyes it would be an easier match for him in a weird way.
I think he could have just did a quick squash. You know what I mean? Where he didn't even like do, you know, you have to take a bump. Like, you know, he could have I just thought that's what they should have did. Because if we find out in any way, shape, or form that match was the cause of death, that's a real life Randy the Ram wrestler story. You could have stopped, but you didn't. And I'm hoping that's not what it is. You know, but regardless of what it is, it sucks anyway. He's gone.
Yeah,
you know? Freaking messed up. But so yeah, and for people who don't know, I was the guy that dressed up as Sabu at the ECW arena. So like. Gosh, like watching that, like he was clearly my guy, even though I'm rooting for every guy in the company that ever came through the curtain, regardless. But, you know, like it was this, man, he's gone. Yeah. There's a lot of celebrities that go, and you're kind of like, you don't have time to mourn them. Like life goes on. But like Sabu has stayed with me all that week, particularly. Oh, that was not ready. And then again, you look at the ECW, you know, graduating class for those 8 years or whatever, it's like we're getting close to 50% or no longer here.
Yeah, it's sad. It really is. And I don't know if did you see the Dark Side of the Ring with the Sheik
Yes.
Okay. I forget. I wish I had that statement. But it was the last time you see him at the very end, and Sabu said a statement about death, and it was just so like it was just sad and just eerie. I mean, it busted me. I broke down crying when I saw that.
Yeah, and you could almost say he mirrored the Ultimate Warrior, saying, "Take the Warrior, take the last breath." You're like, "Oh my God, he's gone."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is a rough one, but could also say to you, dude, that so your event was May 3rd.
Third, yeah.
Sometimes you have those nights. We all have it. I had a horrible freaking night of sleep that Friday, but I got up that Saturday and I went and I checked it out. I just came off a full work week like everybody else. But I remember when I got to your event, I was a little sluggish. Like it was kicking in. Yeah. And I didn't really get a chance to talk to you much. I stopped by for a second and then I go with you. So I'm going around catching up, Meanie and Jason Knight and this one, that one. And I remember I'm like, I really need to freaking sleep. Like, I think I could actually do it now. And maybe I remember looking and you're at the bar with Sabu. And I'm like, I want to say goodbye. And I said, you know what? Save it the next time. Just leave. And I could have had one more interaction with Sabu, and I didn't. So like that was another guilty thing. And I remember maybe about 8 years ago, my friend Vinny from Kill Your Idols and No Redeeming Social Value was a drummer, only in his 40s. I did the same thing. I was like, there he is, setting up on stage. Go say hi to him. He lives up in New York. I didn't. I watched the show and left. And then a week later, like he died from a very rare something. Right. And I'm like, it struck again. I was like with Sabu. I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's like,
you never know, dude.
You got people saying like, dude, you can't be perfect in everything. But it was one of those, damn, would have been nice to have one more. Because I've actually last encounter, because I don't think Sabu ever remembered me as being the Sabu guy. When WrestleMania was here in Philly, he was doing a convention and in Philly, everyone was here. That it's WrestleMania. Next to Fonzie, I was talking to Fonzie about a film project, actually. And Sabu walks up and goes, "Hey, kid, you got to join?" I was like, "Nah, not my department." So that's my last encounter with Sabu.
That's funny.
Yeah. He's like, "You look like you smoke pot." And I was like, "I get you, but no." So at least that's a cool conversation to say that was my last official talk. But yeah, dude. Did you have anything else on any other bullet points or anything you need to go over?
Yeah, I mean that was it with the whole Sabu thing. It's still very shocking, and still you can't help but every time you go on social media, you're seeing Sabu like highlight videos now, and I just look at it, I'm just like, the fuck, man, it's weird, very weird.
But hey, before you get out of here, I got a cool segment I would like to do. I like to do with my guest.
Okay.
This is totally over here. Okay.
Okay.
So, just a quick round of questions, off topic, and anything that don't pertain to you, throw them back. All right. Who's your favorite band of all time?
God. I guess
you can give a small handful.
Okay. Kiss, AC/DC, Ozzy, Metallica, Hanoi Rocks.
Hell yeah! There's one that a lot of people don't talk about. Yes. Michael Monroe. Yeah, hell yeah.
Dude, Hanoi Rocks
should have been the band that should have been bigger.
As time goes on, more and more, the stuff they did from 1980 to 84 before they demised, some of the greatest rock fucking records ever.
And Michael's so good solo. Like they were the only other answer to Guns N' Roses of like this isn't all about having a good time, like that copy and paste.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna kick this up a notch and we're gonna bring some attitude. I thought I think that's why Michael and Axel get along so well.
Exactly.
Yep. 2, what's your favorite venue to see a show at?
Ooh. I'm going to say this. And I want you to give me an update on this venue. Maybe you know.
Okay.
The Tower Theater.
Closed.
So is it done for good? That's it?
Well, listen, all the venues eventually reopened. The Trocadero's closed. Someone's going to take it over.
Troc, another great spot.
Yeah, that's mine. I mean, I'm going to be way biased since I worked there from 2007 or 8 or whatever it was till it closed on June 1st of 2019. Do I have that down? Yeah. But Tower was, I only ever saw Leonard Cohen play there and George Carlin, his 13th HBO special as he was building up to it. I saw there.
Wow.
What happened, to my knowledge, is Philly got so many brand new venues from the ground up that the same thing when people are looking at the Troc, like they should take over the Troc. Then you got to put a lot of money into it to kind of update it when you got everything naturalized with Franklin Hall, the Fillmore, this one, that one. Philly went from, Electric Factory TLA to Troc, that's it, to 10. Now we got 10 venues that are all doing really good, So, yeah, but Tower was the only thing I didn't like about Tower, man, is I hated driving there. I mean, you probably
I grew up in Upper Darby, so I lived 2 blocks from the Tower. I saw in 1984, it was the 3rd concert I went to, I saw Metallica open for Wasp.
Wow. Well, yeah.
I saw Guns N' Roses there with Zodiac Mind Warp in 87, 88. Yeah, I mean, I saw Guns N' Roses at the Troc before that.
I heard so many stories about how they played. They weren't big, and then they came out and hung out with everybody. I
have a flyer. A buddy of mine sent me from LA when they were playing the Roxy or something, and I met all 5 of them afterwards. I got them to sign it.
And I heard it was only 4 or 5 months later, they were the biggest band in the world. So it's crazy. Yeah. What's your favorite album of all time?
That's a fucking good one.
For me, I have it's a handful. I can't really say.
I'll give you. I'll give you a handful. I'd say Kiss. I got to say Alive 1.
Okay.
Ozzy, Diary of a Madman. Hanoi Rocks. I mean, 2 Steps from the Move is absolutely fucking perfect. Metallica, Master of Puppets, another.
Yeah, that's in my top hand.
Perfection. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Who is the underrated band? It can be from any type of music. Is there a band out there that you think is underrated that just you absolutely love, but you might bring up to the next person or
so many.
Okay,
so I was a hairband guy. Vane from San Francisco.
Okay, I remember him a little bit.
Their album that came out then, No Respect, absolute fucking masterpiece. Jet Boy was another killer band. Rocks Gang. There was so many bands that put out albums back then. I have to go
with one that was. They were known, but I just never understood why people just didn't grasp them because they had the hair thing, but they also had Southern blues on. But it was Tesla. I didn't understand why, across the board, they were so good.
Dude, I just saw maybe a year ago, one of the guys did an interview with somebody, his own blabbermouth, and I was shocked by this statement because Tesla is a band that's so fucking good and had so many hits.
Yeah.
And it said none of them made $1 million in their career. They were
I
never millionaires.
believe it, but like Psychotic Supper is one of the best albums. And like they it's weird because like when you say a lot of the hair metal, a lot of them like I'm not knocking these bands. I like them. Warren, Poison, like Slaughter. It was a lot of copy and paste. But like Guns N' Roses came through, it's like sit over there, watch this. Like we're gonna. To me, they prolonged that, and I don't really even call Guns N' Roses a hair metal band. I just think they kind of got. I think there were 5 punk rockers that just got shoved into that category.
Totally.
But that I thought Tesla was like the next like. I almost felt like them. They were like the next Queen a little bit. Like you could feel a little bit of that. Like they were trying to go all over the place. They weren't married to guitar solos. That was a big thing. That's how I kind of were you married to the guitar solos? Like was that the like? That's how I kind of and the way you dressed. But yeah, Tesla I thought was like I felt like they had a good Southern thing going on with that mix in there. Yeah, it was cool. But
LA Guns was another one of my favorite bands. Faster Pussycat.
Yep.
I mean, all those guys. Like,
it's crazy. But all right. And what's the one band you want to see that you would love to see before your time's up on the planet or their time stop playing?
Ooh. One band I've never seen is I've never seen Def Leppard.
Wow, really? After all the times they would come to Philly too, huh? I think I
never saw Def Leppard.
Well, I don't think they're going to end their road anytime soon. But I always say if they're above 60, I take no chances because you just never know anymore, man. You never know.
They're here. They're there in Philly this weekend. I'll tell you what, like. All the online clips I've seen this past year of Metallica live, they're fucking killing it. How fucking great is James Hetfield? I was thinking about this the other day. James Hetfield, he might be, and please, if somebody bring an argument up and try to prove me wrong with this, he might be the greatest songwriter ever. And also, too, at 60 plus years old, who's for 40 plus years fucking played God knows how many thousands of shows. His voice sounds better today than it has years later. And not many singers, after 40 years of doing what they've done, can still sound that good.
Okay, I'll sign off on all that. Absolutely. I'm just one of them. I'm one of them. Metallica died with the Black Album. Like I love Master of Puppets, Kill 'Em All, and Injustice for All. And I can't take away the credits you just said because it's absolutely true. It's just going forward after that, it wasn't for me. Like it just.
Yeah, I mean they became very commercialized.
Commercial, like it because they were the band that like took the torch of like when Poison's on, like all the fans turn your back to them, let them know like we're not falling for this. And it's like, oh man, you took the money after all this time, huh? I mean, like the massive, all the hair cutting all at the same time, and like I remember like you probably were there too. When the Enter Sandman world premiere hit on MTV, like we're like Metallica's gonna make their second video. They don't like do it. Like as soon as the beginning kicked in, I was like, I was just kind of like waiting, and then when it was done, I was a little like, I hope the rest of the album's a lot better. And through the Never and Wherever I May Have Roamed, they're good songs, but like you could tell where they were going.
It's not Trapped Under Ice. You know what I mean? No, it's not Damage Incorporated.
No. Oh, gosh. Like, every song on Master of Puppets is just pure gold. Yeah. It's just pure gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. What was that? The album? I think it was Death Magnetic. Great fucking album. It's not Master of Puppets, but it's in that vein where you're getting 5 to 7 minute songs and all different structure changes in a song that is like classic old school writing of Metallica. It wasn't nothing like the Black Album or Load and all that stuff.
Oh, well, Load, and then that's like Saint Anger and like Unforgiven too. I was just like,
same
God, I went peek in. I was just like, okay, I did the right decision just to make sure.
Has anybody gone through and remixed the drum sound on that? I wonder if it like sounds like.
I just remember they were on the second. I might have been the second Headbanger as well with Jamie Joster. Just like, yeah, we just played it. We didn't like go back. We want it to be natural. I'm like, this is why you have the studio. This is why. Yeah. Imagine Hollywood if like they left the screw ups in the movie. You'd be like, what? Like, no, it's a reason you. The reason we have tape, man. All right, doing a shift here in a different direction. Film stuff. Who's your favorite actor?
Oh, God. I'm like so out of the loop on movies.
Who would you love growing up, even? Yeah, anyone you were married to? Like, yo, I got to get to the theater because this next such movie's coming out with this one. You don't have one.
No, you know what? Like, yeah.
Okay. Question out. This one you better have an answer for, or at least more than one. What's your favorite flick?
My all-time favorite movie is Slapshot.
There you go. 1977. Yep. Can never go wrong with Slapshot.
That was like from the first time I saw that as a young kid in grade school up until now. That's been like my go-to movie if I ever need like a cheering up or a laugh or something. I just put that movie on. It's such a great fucking story and funny, and yeah, I laugh every time.
I'm going to tell you a Henson Brothers story, but I'm also going to say I like that answer. Like movies like that are like Almost Famous, Rockstar, or like Grease, like any of the musicals.
Cool Rider.
Yeah, Cool Rider. Yeah. Oh yeah, so good. Who's that guy? That's like my song from that in Prawlin. But Monster Mania was known as mostly horror, but they do bring in like a sci-fi wrestler. They brought in those brothers,
the Hanson brothers, yeah.
And their Q&A was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Like it was, but afterwards, the three of them were in the bar, and I went up and I got a picture of them at the bar. And it's a really bad one. I think it was like a disposable camera. That's how far back we're going here.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there talking to my friend, and right behind me, they're still like 5 feet away, just having beer. I left them alone. And all of a sudden, not the middle brother, but the other two, I forget their names, the ones they both had black hair. They started getting in an argument. And I'm trying to think, because one wasn't really a goon. One was a finesse player, and the other one was, whoever the one that wasn't a goon ended up walking out. And I thought I was going to have, like, see a fist fight between them two, like in a bar fight. And one of them said something about, like, I hope you die, and when you're driving home with that bitch wife of yours, I hope she dies with you. And I'm like, oh, my God. Like, yeah, like, it was, like, serious. The middle brothers just sat there, like, kind of like, almost like this happens all the time. I don't even have to comment, sort of thing. But
did they end it with A? All the Canadians are like, I hope your wife dies, eh?
If he did, I don't remember that part. But like, I was sitting there, I'm like, oh gosh, because I had a phone that took video, but it was horrible. But I'm like, this would be the greatest footage ever. Like,
God, that's
Slapshot brothers getting a freaking fight at a bar fight, and I couldn't believe the size of them. They were freaking big dudes.
Yeah,
I was like, geez. I was like, I felt like a child next to them. But
yeah,
grandness. All right, moving on. All right. Who's your favorite person of history that could still be living, or they could have passed on, that everything stops? Like, oh gosh, there's a documentary of this person on, like, that you're fascinated with, like the world shuts down.
Evel Knievel.
Yeah, good one. I think you might be the second person that give that answer. Yeah.
Evel fucking Knievel. He, from the time I was 3 years old, he's been my all-time idol. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. I kind of missed that. Like, he was I was such a kid then. Like, yeah. So because he got inactive around when? When was he kind of slowing down before?
About 76, 77. Then he ended up in jail for a minute. And
I didn't know he went to jail. Okay.
One of the people from his inner circle wrote a book about him and talked a lot of shit. And in typical evil fashion, he went to the guy with a baseball bat and beat the shit out of him.
Pre-internet when we took things out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then while he was in jail, he was like on work release. So he would have his fucking staff pull up with limos, and all the other fucking inmates that were on work release, he would fucking pick them all up in limos and drive them to their jobs. And the fucking prison put a stop to that shit quick.
Oh shit! Well, I didn't know that. I'd have to watch. I gotta watch a documentary on him to learn all that.
I got into the evil inner circle and became friends with a lot of his like crew and all that, because I've done a lot of these podcasts about Evil, and I've had them all on as guests telling stories. Man, Evil was a piece of work, man. He fucking heard a lot of fun stories, a lot of crazy stories.
Yeah, I guess they had to be out of his mind to do those stunts, right?
Absolutely.
You got to have some screws loose.
Absolutely.
Final question. So this doesn't even pertain to wrestling, but I think it would. But like, before your time's up on this planet, whatever that is it between wrestling? Like, is there something you want to accomplish that you have not yet done? Maybe a memory from wrestling, like, hey, I'd still love to go do this, or something outside of wrestling.
Yeah, I think at this point it's definitely outside of wrestling. It's funny. I just said this to my girlfriend the other night. We went to a comedy show, and something I've always wanted to try but never have is doing stand-up. And I think I could be pretty funny and do it, and she feels the same way. So, I mean, maybe giving that a one-time whirl.
Give that, and then the average for something new anyway is 3 minutes. So, like, dude, just go up, and then you take notes and fine tune it, and then go from there.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for being my first and now 100th guest.
Thank you. Honored. Absolutely honored, man.
Thank you. I'm giving you the floor. Is there anything you need to plug?
Just look for me on Facebook, YouTube at Chubby Dudley Official. Just type in my name, Bay Ragney. I'm everywhere. Give me a follow. Give me a shout.
Absolutely. You got a good podcast. I check it out when I can. Everyone has a podcast. So that's why I don't push mine on everybody else. I totally get it, but yeah, brother, hang tight when I sign off here.
Absolutely.
So I thank this audience for taking the time to listen to my podcast. I'm happy for all you that hung out for episode, the previous episodes. I can't believe I'm at 100. So there it is. Wait, it's over here. Yeah, subscribe button. Drop all the comments. As I always say, all the comments will be answered. Stand by for my film directory where to check out my world. I will say then, as always, the party is over. And 2, get off the internet.